A couple of weeks ago, you'd have heard me talking about Dr. Atul Shah's Masala tour. It was intriguing stuff, wasn't it? For the month of November, Dr. Shah is spending time visiting artists, businesses, community centres and leaders up and down the country, all to showcase India in Britain. If you're not quite sure what it's all about, well, the Masala tour, which started this week, has made its kind of first proper stop, I suppose, here in Leicester. And I'm delighted to say that Dr. Atul Shah is in the studio to tell us a little more about it. Dr. Shah, first of all, good evening.
Greetings, Leicester.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we chatted a couple of weeks ago and I threw the invitation open to you and I said it'd be great to see you in the studio when you come to Leicester, and here you are.
Yeah, it's just lovely to come to the capital of Diwali in Europe, as I say, at the time of Diwali.
Yeah, exactly, and you couldn't have timed it better. And you've got a very special guest, Zima, who we'll introduce in a moment. But first of all, just tell us, in case somebody's listening to the programme and they weren't listening a couple of weeks ago, what is it exactly that you're doing?
I work in the cultural diversity field to help organizations understand different cultures and embrace them. You know, the reality of Britain is that in spite of all the things we say about diversity, there are glass ceilings in all kinds of organizations, workplaces, professional bodies, businesses. You know, even if you look at global companies, you look at the board of directors, that tends to be very monocultural. Even sometimes there are very few women even on these boards. So there's a lot to be done about diversity, especially within organizations at senior levels. And I work at that level and I help them, I train them, I guide them, and I do research in that area. And what I found is one of the real problems in this country is an understanding of culture. You know, there is very little done to educate people, especially employers, about culture and the strengths of different cultures. And actually real innovation and ideas come from different cultures. When you bring people from different cultures into the party, you get real creativity and ideas, and this is a huge win for any organization.
And at the end of your Masala tour, what will you have hoped to have achieved?
I will have introduced to them the tremendous strength of India in Britain and the nuances of India in Britain, you know, because India is a complex country and Indian culture is complex, and it is complex because it's 3,000 years old. But hey, you know, that culture has been imported here. You know, when people migrated here, they may have come penniless, but boy, did they bring their culture here. And Leicester is a testament to that. And you know, I mean, that is something that doesn't really come out. The media focuses on negative stories, focuses on terrorism, focuses on violence. But this is a positive story, and these communities, basically by and large, are very peace-loving and peaceful community. It's very, very resourceful. I mean, just look at the temples we're building up and down the country. I was in Wembley at the new Sanatan Mandir there. I mean, it looks like the Taj Mahal, and we have built it right in London, you know, with not a penny of taxpayers' money or government money. We built it with our own resources to the highest aesthetic standards, added to the great architectural landscape of this country. And guess what? It's hardly even on television. You know, people don't even know about it, and it will stay in the ghetto. But I want to take it out.
But as you say, you know, Indian culture is so complex. You know, there are so many dimensions to it. How can you possibly hope to kind of promote all the different aspects of the wonderful culture that we've kind of introduced in Britain on just a single tour?
Well, that's where the word masala comes in. I mean, if you think about it, people may not know the culture, but they definitely love the food. So if you give them a taster of the culture and give the different dimensions of the culture, and I absolutely agree, I am not going to cover everything in 30 days. I know it for a fact. I mean, in 4 days we have put up 15 videos of people we have met and interviews we have done already on the site, which people can find out by simply googling Masala tour. And in fact, Zima, who we are talking to later, I mean, she was one of the interviews we did today, and already 15 people have viewed that video. And you know, I mean, it's the power of the internet is we have a global audience. We can now, you know, open our own broadcast channel. We've got a YouTube broadcast channel called Masala Tour, which is our own channel, and we're putting up stories as we go, and different dimensions of these stories. And I think at the end of 30 days there will be an archive of all the variety of Indian culture and community in this country. I mean, faith, for example, is such an important part of the Indian community in this country, but boy is it misunderstood. In fact, in this country, especially amongst professionals and elites, faith is almost denied, or people of faith are seen to be second-class citizens. And actually, in our case, I mean, the faith enriches, the faith is inclusive, the faith is plural, and it really is a phenomenal source of strength. I mean, how can think about it, in Leicester, 72, these people, Uganda nations, came penniless, and today they are amongst the wealthiest Britons in this country. How can we do that in the space of 30, 40 years? Only when you have culture, when you have faith, self-belief, that's how you can make this kind of huge...
So it's obviously a tremendously positive message that you want to kind of portray. And you'll be visiting, I mean, Leicester, as I say, is technically your first stop, because you started in London, you've stopped off in Leicester, but you're also going to be visiting places like Birmingham, Bradford, London, as well, and other sort of major cities as well. But what would you say is kind of special that you've seen already in Leicester, which makes it a very different and unique city compared to others?
Well, think of Bill Gates and Microsoft, right? It was started in a garage, and and the time to talk to Bill Gates is not after he has been a multimillionaire and he's been successful, but when he's in that garage. And those are the kinds of stories I've been looking for. And today I'm very impressed to say that I have come across this amazing magazine called HPD online, and a print magazine which goes to student campuses all over the country, started by a group of very young people. In fact, I feel that this country does not really understand the huge capability of young Indo-Brits in this country, up and down the country, who are extremely talented and have actually the strengths of two very good cultures, the British culture and the Indian culture, born in this country, and they have both those strengths. And when they reach that age of 20, 25, they are really ready to fly. And HPD is one of that examples. Imagine this group of people have never worked in a media office. They've never had training in journalism even. But you look at the quality of what they're producing.
Well, I've got the magazine in front of me, and it's absolutely tremendous. And you've brought one of those inspirational young people that you talked about, Zima, here in the studio with you. So let's introduce Zima to the program. Zima, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the program. Now, you're one of the people that Dr. Shah's been sort of talking about in such glowing terms, and you're involved with this particular magazine, which I've got in front of me. It's a very lovely, very professional magazine with Theoprophetus, an inspirational figure himself, of course, that dragon on the front page. But tell us a bit more about yourself first, before we talk about some of the work you've done.
A bit about myself. Well, I was born and bred up in Leicester. Like I said to Adil Bhai earlier today, Leicester's home to me. And as a young person in the UK, I'm quite proud to say Leicester's home to me. Part of my education was in India, so I was in boarding school in India, and then I continued my education back in Leicester. So my background's in marketing. So for the HPD project, which stands for Human Potential Development, I look after sales and marketing for the publication. The publication, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. It was set up in 2008. It is a Leicester brand, but it's a national magazine. And if you have a look at the quality of it, you'd never think it comes from a little corner in Leicester.
And what is the magazine all about? What are its aims and objectives?
The magazine is aspirational. It's created for those who are tomorrow's leaders. So it goes out to students who are at the top 20 universities, and it's designed for young professionals. So our editorials are all geared around creating a paradigm shift, getting them to go beyond a 9-to-5 job. It's about creating values, understanding values, with not only promoting graduate recruitment positions, but also a lifestyle which is about leadership, embracing it with values, and to say quite confidently, a lot of the values that we do portray in a magazine, underlining, does come from back home, India. It does come from Hinduism, but portrayed in a modern way. Modern, where
so what was it about the work HPD were doing, Dr. Shah, that you kind of found really inspirational?
Well, I really feel that the leaders of tomorrow need to have borderless minds. And here was a group of young Indian people, young Hindus, who were absolutely exhibiting a borderless mind. And I saw it through the magazine. I saw the magazine before I even met them. And they were actually translating Indian values without referring to India or Hinduism. And they were doing it in a very professional, very scientific way. And the language, the words, the pictures, and the combination they were using. And I am a social entrepreneur. My whole project and enterprise about the Masala Tour is not to make money, but to transform society, to improve society, to enrich society. I feel that Indian values have a tremendous resonance with the big problems that Britain is facing today, the economic problems, the social problems, the health problems. So the solutions are right in front of our eyes, but guess what? We're not even seeing them. We're not appreciating them. And you know, whilst we are struggling to save the billions and talking about jobs, we could slash the NHS budget by half if we had yoga all over the country. And if we were to talk about nutrition and a healthy diet in a proactive, preventative way all over the country, with children, with parents, with families, etc. But guess what? The NHS is very much like an ambulance service. It only tries to come into the situation when there is a problem. After you are drunk, after you are, and then of course it costs a lot of money. And of course this kind of expenditure keeps on ballooning because people get drunk over and over and over again. Look at the story of faith in this country, right? Faith communities save a huge amount of money for the government because they maintain the mental health of the followers, the worshippers, the elders. Yeah. Now, where is that equation ever recognized? When does the government say thank you to India and Britain?
So Zima, just coming back to you then, I mean, when you first met Dr. Shah and you kind of found out about this sort of project he was working on, how did you receive that?
I think it's a fantastic project. I think the idea of travelling around the UK, highlighting where our grassroots come from, and from a business perspective, supporting us and appreciating.
How can it help you? I mean, in what ways do you think a project like that can help people, young people like yourselves?
Well, a project like this helps young people clearly by knowing that there's support out there. There's support not only from believing in our magazine, but to grow the magazine. And I think there's a big community that we need to tap into that can appreciate our magazine as well. I think Dr. Shah has done a brilliant job with coming in, interviewing us and highlighting the good work that we're doing in Leicester.
Fantastic. Well, the endorsement there, Dr. Shah. And of course all this is online, all the the material that you're gathering. So just finally remind us how people can follow you online, because you mentioned Facebook last time as well, didn't you, when we spoke?
So we have created all the channels. So the simplest way is to Google Masala Tour. It's the number 1, 2, 3 and 4 item on Google.
You've made sure of that.
And then you will find everything. You will find the videos through that, you will find the articles through that, you'll find other resources, and the video for HPD is already on there. It's also on Facebook. And we've created a Facebook page for Masala Tour, a YouTube channel for Masala Tour. So, just do that. And the word masala means spice and variety, and what we are looking for is variety all the time. And have a fantastic Diwali, Leicester listeners. We really are honored to be here. We consider you as a major source, as the capital of India in Britain and in Europe, and as a real heartthrob for the values, the wisdom that are so sorely needed in this country. So there will be more to come. I hope that the Prime Minister will one day come to Leicester and say to the Indian community, I want you to show us the leadership, show us the way to good health, to good business, to peaceful society, and boy, we are ready for it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much indeed for dropping in, Dr. Shah, and the best of luck with the rest of your tour. Of course, we can keep tabs, as you say, by Googling Masala Tour, and we'll certainly do that. And perhaps at the end of all this, we'll have another chat. That'd be great.
That would be fantastic.
Thank you so much. And Zima, thank you as well, both of you, for joining us on the programme tonight. Can I just take this opportunity to wish you a fantastic Diwali and Sal Mubarak as well, and a safe journey for the rest of your tour, Dr. Shah.